Found it. Perfect.
Every day is a first new day.
Every day is exactly.
First new day.
Yes, yes. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We are going to go ahead and get started, and we'll let folks in as they continue to join us. But Happy New Year. This is our first PFA Network event of the new year, 2025. And it's so wonderful to be back together again, see faces. Hopefully everyone closed out 2024 well and is having a nice start to 2025. So grateful to be here together, and so inspired to start off our year with building bridges. So I am going to move us along. I don't think I introduced myself, but for those of you who don't know me, I am Brittany Jackson, and I am a Community Connections Coordinator here at PFCC Partners, and I just love to serve and support the PFA network and make all these wonderful connections with all of you. It's just so wonderful to serve in this role and be here with you all today. So a quick reminder before we go any further into our session today, just about a couple of Zoom features. So as a reminder, there is the ability to turn on your cameras. You can see our faces here today, but we just want to let you all know that cameras are definitely optional, so use them as you are able or as you would like. You're also able to use the chat function, reactions down below, and then you can also click on the letter CC at the bottom if you need transcription services or closed captioning as well. So just a quick reminder there. All right, so we should be fairly familiar with our PFA network agreements that were developed together in partnership. So I think one today that I will lift up is using I statements. So during our different building bridges events and sessions, we are all talking about our different experiences and how we are experiencing the world and healthcare. And so I think it's wonderful to speak from your own personal experience and using I statements. So that's when I will raise up for today's session. All right, well, why don't we do a couple of introductions here together, again, getting started with 2025. So far, we have a smaller, intimate group, so I think we can go ahead and verbally just share a couple before we dive in, and it will be great to hear some voices. So if you wanted to share your name, where you're at, and then something that you would like to experience, something new that you would like to do or experience in the new year in 2025. So for myself, I can model and just dive in. Again, I'm Brittany. I'm in Colorado, and something new that I would like to experience. I know Laura, our fellow Colorado, my fellow Coloradan, experience this year. I have been working on crocheting, but I just cannot get the granny square. For anyone who's familiar, I cannot get it. So I am determined in this new year to keep at it and figure out how to make a granny square, because I'd love to make a blanket, but I need to get that first step done. So that is where I am at, and I am just going to go down my list here. So Emily, you're up next for me.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm in Oregon, and one thing a new thing. I'm 80 years old, so I've had a lot of new things in my life. But I'm a podcaster, and I would love to go over 100 people who actually subscribe to my podcast.
Did you say you were 80?
80, yes.
Oh my God.
I know it. Unreal, Emily.
That's why I call my podcast World War II Baby Substack.
I was just going to ask you to name it off so that we can all follow you. Yep. As it says in the comments there, if you could share your podcast info, that would be grand.
That'd be great, Emily. Drop it in chat for us. All right. Thank you, Emily. Okay. Let's see. Laura, you're next.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Laura Carroll. I'm a person with lived experience talking to you from the rural western slope of Colorado. And as Brittany will tell you, it might as well be a completely different state. One of my goals for 2024 was to attend and present in some conferences, and I'm pretty excited that with the help of the PFA network and PFCC partners that I am now signed up to be on 3 panels at 3 different conferences so far this year. So I'm super excited, and send me lots of energy because wow, that's a lot of people and a lot of stuff.
Indeed, Laura. Yep. Thank you. Okay, Roger.
Okay, so I'm Roger LaCoy. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. Originally from Boston, Massachusetts. By way of Florida, I ended up in Iowa. Very, it's kind of like a very backward kind of state now. It's going crazy here. But let's see, one thing new that I would like to experience, we're going to travel. My partner wants to go to London. So
Ooh,
that's the plan so far.
nice.
And I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful, Roger. Thank you. And we are glad that you're here. All right, Rosie.
Hi, I'm Rosie Bartell. I'm in the state of Wisconsin. I live in a really little town called Chilton. It's like about halfway between Milwaukee and Green Bay. And my goal has been for several years, to be a keynote at a conference. And so I am going to be a keynote at 2 conferences this year. So I'm going to be doing one at Dartmouth in Massachusetts. I'm in New Hampshire, and I'm also doing one in the state of Montana, which
Nice.
I have never presented in the state of Montana. So it's like an interesting experience. First of all, present in the state of Montana, and also to be a keynote there. So I'm excited about doing that because it's been one of my goals. So thank you.
Rosie, you have to try the seafood in New Hampshire. It's the best.
I've been to New Hampshire before. My sister lived there for a while, and the seafood, I remember the seafood definitely. So, and that with them, we're not only am I presenting, we're also doing like 3 days of work. I'm bringing in a team with me, a team of other patient advisors. So there's 4 of us going in, and we're going to present to all the different entities inside, with from patient advisors to physicians to frontline workers, and every area and we're going to present during patient experience weeks, which is the last week of April. So and we're also designing it. So we're co-designing it with them rather than they're saying, this is what we want. It's like we are designing with them. So it's definitely a new experience. And it came out of a presentation that I did at IHI, and basically after a 3-hour conversation with a physician from IHI from there, he's like, we need you. And I said, well, then I'm bringing a team with me, because it's not just me. These are ideas from all kinds of people. And he said, the more, the merrier. So we're going in as a team.
Good.
You did put my name down, right?
Huh?
You did put my name down, right?
I wish I would have, Roger, because but it was a team of people that I presented with at IHI. So basically it's,
Yeah.
but people that I presented with at IHI. So one is from Canada, and one is from Boston, one is from New Hampshire, and then myself.
Wonderful, Rosie. Well, new experiences all around there. Please, please, please keep us updated. You're always so great about keeping us updated. So please do.
Right. And I don't know if you've seen the storytelling guide that we put out at the Barrel Institute, where I was one of the co-chairs for doing that. But that storytelling guide has really gotten a lot of traction. And you know, I'm doing a couple webinars for different organizations on how that organizations can use the storytelling guide. The storytelling guide is not for patients; it's for organizations to help their patients tell their story.
Thank you, Rosie. Yep, I believe have shared, but we can continue to circulate. Always great to continue to circulate all the resources. So thank you, Rosie. Very exciting things coming up for 2025.
Yeah.
All right, Karen.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have my video up. I was trying to
Okay.
load something else, so I'm in the middle of some other things. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome 2025. I am in cold Dallas, Texas. We had our snow. That's now gone, but we still have cold and wind, but it's going to get better this weekend. What would I like to experience in 2025? I'm just going to say better health. I'm going to leave it at that. I am working on something new, and I'm with AEIP nursing volunteers, and I started hearing about this. And then I was at a meeting day before yesterday with NACQ, National Association for Healthcare Quality. And Brittany, have you seen CMS's new, this is new for 2025, patient safety structural measures?
Wow, if that isn't the buzzword of the
And the acronym is
we are familiar.
PSSM.
Yep.
And it's going to affect the hospital's quality scores because they have 5 domains and each domain gets a point. So they have to get a total of 5. If they have a PFAC, they've got some things in there, but there's some nuances that was presented by CMS. I was like, okay, deep breath. The hospitals are going to have to get their arms around this, but they're really promoting PFACs at hospitals.
Right.
Yeah.
Karen, doing some presentations around that. I was one of the developers of that.
Okay, yeah, she mentioned the TAP.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was.
We will, sorry, I just wanted to help provide some context too. We'll be covering, we have some of the team, Rosie, that you partnered with coming to our February workshop to present on the PSSM. And then we'll be sharing our PFCC partners approach to addressing specifically the 5th domain around the Patient Family Advisory Councils in March. So we'll definitely share more and more about that, but just didn't want to lose focus of our continued introductions, but appreciate you bringing that up, Karen.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Yep, more to come, as Lindsay said. So thank you, Karen. All right, Chris.
Hello, everyone. So I am in Northern Nevada, which is in the Reno-Sparks area, and we are high desert. So we are actually a winter area. So we don't have snow like everybody else has. I keep sending it, tell them send it our way. We need the snow. One of the things that I wanted to experience 2025, and you guys are so funny because you started talking about New Hampshire. I have a nephew in New Hampshire, and I'm going to go visit him in the fall and see the leaves. So that's one of the things that I wanted to do this year was to see the leaves in New Hampshire and see my nephew's tiny home that he built. I do have 2 other things just to update. One is thank you, Brittany. Brittany helped another member of the PFAC and myself to present at the National Alliance of Healthcare Purchasing Coalitions in November. And from that, they have established a patient voice subcommittee for coalitions and asked me to chair it. So we did have some really good news to come out of that. And last but not least, I have it's a small world story, and that is Rosie and I met in Los Angeles at the PFAC meeting, 2 years ago? And then we were both on an airplane from Washington, D.C. to somewhere else. Not related to where we live or anything. We were on a plane in Washington, D.C. And I said, I know you. And we were able to connect on a longer distance flight. And, you know, you just never know when you're going to run into people from the PFAC or people that cross your paths, and really in the most unlikeliest of spots.
Right.
So
I love that. Wow, how wonderful.
Yep.
And just to be able to point each other out. So that's
Yep.
great. Thank you for sharing, Chris. That will be beautiful in the fall. And thank you for sharing those updates with us. So exciting. So I'm so glad. Thank you. Okay, Lori.
Well, hello, I'm Lori Albers. I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it is very cold here, but not as cold as last week where it was 13 below. Little nuts. One thing I like to experience this year for my graduate studies program, I've been asked to develop a YouTube channel with my puppets. So I'm a puppeteer and I am doing things around regulation and helping kids connect to their social emotional awareness and do that with puppets. So I'm looking forward to developing that this year.
Wow, Lori. That is so wonderful. Please continue to keep us updated and share. I would love to see that and have little ones myself who could probably benefit. So thank you for sharing, Lori. Glad you're here. Okay, Michelle.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, Michelle. We're just doing some quick introductions. Can you see the questions on the slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
My name is Michelle Rosser. I'm from LA. And one new thing I would like to experience this year would be for my family to have a positive moment or event that is like in the community or something different for my family. And then I say that because we've been separated for like 12 years now. That's all.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing, Michelle, and definitely sending you the best of intentions that will come to fruition for you all this year in 2025 as a family. So thank you for sharing. And I think aside from my team, we've hit everyone. So I will go to Naomi and Lindsay really quick, and then we will move forward.
Okay, I'm Naomi Williams. I am coming to you from frigid Evans, Georgia, where we are in the 20s, which is unheard of, and we've had snow. The whole state shuts down. A new thing I would like to experience this year, I don't know, that's a challenging one. To get back to things that I enjoy. So I want to do I'm gonna put it out here, a triathlon, a sprint triathlon again. Hold me accountable. Thank you.
Thanks, Naomi.
You can do it, Naomi. I believe in you.
So you're the one who's gonna run faster than me, huh? Just
Yeah.
checking.
Naomi and I talked in months ago about doing the turkey trot. Did you do it, Naomi? I did, but I walked, so we'll get there. Baby steps, baby steps. Hi everyone, it's so great to see you and hear just what's going on in all of your lives. I'm Lindsay Galley, I'm the Vice President of Programs at PFCC Partners. I'm in Sacramento, California. I will not complain about the cold or weather, even though it's really cold for me and I have my space heater right here. One new thing that I would like to experience in 2025 is just more hikes and being out in nature. I already have a birthday trip planned with my husband to go to Carmel by the Sea towards the California coast. I've never been there, but they have lots of really pretty hikes and looking forward to doing that. And yeah, a lot more just seeing nature.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. I know we don't always have a chance on our calls to be able to hear each other's voices and just catch up in this way and share updates. So thank you all. So let's dive in now to our agenda and our panel and open discussion. So as a reminder for Building Bridges, the purpose of Building Bridges really is to build a sense of belonging within our PFA network community. So we have so many patient family partners, as we've heard, from all over the country and beyond. And everyone has their own set of circumstances, dealing with different things. And we love to be able to just come together in different ways. And in this case, it's for Building Bridges. And to be able to share about unique experiences that others may not be experiencing, may not be aware of. And it's just a great chance to open up dialogue, have discussion, and again, continue to support each other and build that sense of belonging. And then let this be a jumping off point. So as we say with many of our conversations, it is not the end. Once we close this call, we will have many opportunities to continue to talk and to connect. So just a quick reminder about what our purpose is together for Building Bridges. So with that, I am so excited to turn it over to our speakers for today. So we have Emily Newberry and Roger LaCoy and Laura Carroll, and you will hear some introductions from both, and then we'll go through and have some panel discussion, ask a couple of questions. But throughout, if you have, and y'all have already been doing it, but if you have any questions or comments, please definitely feel free to put in chat and we'll try to address along the way. But I am going to pause for a moment so that you can hear from each of them to share a little bit more about themselves. So Emily, we will start with you and then we'll just go to the three of you. So Emily, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for doing this. It's so important for us to really get to know and understand each other better. So I'm a transgender woman, 80 years old. I've done a lot of things in my life. I was a machinist for 30 years, a mediator and facilitator for a dozen years professionally, a published poet. And I also was both a volunteer person and family-centered care partner, patient partner at Kaiser Permanente Northwest, and then got hired to bring other people on board as person and family-centered care patient partners and to mentor them and help them to be successful in what they were doing. And fortunately, that job ended last January due to budget cuts. But it's something that I think I really learned and grew from, just the sense of the different challenges that people face in healthcare, the wonderful things that our healthcare providers often do, and the ways that the voice of the patient can enhance and improve, help the doctors and the nurses and other people understand how to not just come from their amazing training experience and medical experience, but understand how they do things affects the patient and the importance of making sure that the patient is really benefiting as much as they want them to benefit from the care that they're getting. So that's me. As a transgender woman, I always try to tell people, don't be afraid to ask me questions, because my whole thing is, if you don't ask, how will you know? And the importance for transgender people of understanding that we're a relatively new phenomenon in society, and to be welcoming and to give people a little break if they use the wrong pronoun or something. It's just they mean well, and just be kind and friendly in your reaction. So that's me. Go ahead, Roger.
Uh-oh, Roger, you're on mute. Oh, Roger, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Just playing.
No worries.
Loosen up a little bit here. So yeah, Roger LaCoy. Let's see, I'm 61. I've been living with AIDS for 32 years. So besides being a gay man, I'm also a gay man with HIV. So I had a couple of stigmas growing up and living in, I was very lucky. I lived in a conservative state of Massachusetts where they're so ahead of everybody else when it comes to LGBTQ stuff. Sorry about the dog. I started my work there. Sorry. I think my dog's attacking somebody.
No worries.
So, I started doing volunteer work way back then, with the Department of Public Health in Massachusetts. And it was really, it was me coming out was a real difficult thing because I was the youngest of 11 and I had a bunch of big brothers who weren't too keen on the fact that I was uh, of different persuasion. Let's say that's names they used to say to me were pretty shitty, but it made me learn. It toughened me up. It made me realize that, if I'm going to be who I am, I'm going to be who I am to everybody, whether you like me or not. So I've always been open with people about my homosexuality and my HIV. And I can't believe Laura had to leave. I hope her son's okay.
I know, Roger. We hope so too.
So, I'm here. When I first joined, I was like, well, yeah, and I was open when I first joined, but I noticed that there weren't too many other people here that were identifying as being out. And I think sometimes you need to have that person there that says, hey, I'm out. And then everybody says, well, yeah, I'm out too. And let's get together. We can talk. We can do things. We can be open with one another and not have to worry about repercussions. Friendships are so important. For me, I'd like to introduce myself to people and let them get to know me. And, once they get to know me, that's, hey, oh yeah, by the way, when I lived in Florida, I moved into a older homes park. It was all elderly, and I was in there, and I came in, and they asked me to join their club. This is now prior to me coming out to anybody. They learned to love me as me, and then I said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm I'm a happily married man, and my husband Victor is there also." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And Victor came in and they were like, "Oh, this is Victor. How are you?" And we're talking people that were, you know, Christian, 100% Christian, that, crosses and everything. But they learned to love me because I was me. I didn't try to be somebody else. I didn't try to cover up anything. And then I learned that, going forward, I have to be myself and I got to stop hiding because there's so many of us out there that are just being abused. And, there's so many of us that are just hiding because we don't want to be abused. We don't want to take the stigma that's out there. And unfortunately, I'm praying to God that it doesn't get worse with this new administration because, they're already stripping rights from everybody else. And then I live also in Iowa where it just got overrun by the majority, and it's probably going to go back. They're going to probably do some back steps there. But that's kind of what brought me to Iowa. Was we had some gay friends that we lived with in Florida who moved up here, and I moved. We came up and visited a few times, and we met people up here, and we met people that were nice. They weren't, looking for something. They weren't, behind your back saying anything, but they were real nice people. And that's what brought us up to Iowa. And we've been here 10 years. We joined the gay community that's up here, and, it's pretty good. We're all trying to, band together, and hopefully, they've been trying for the last 8 years to put all these laws in effect. So I'm just here, and I'm with my partner. He's working, and as you know, my sister moved in with us. God bless her, 72. Oh, and yeah, I'm here because I think we should come out. We should talk. We should be friends. This is the safest place I feel. I know I can open up here, and I know I can talk to anybody here. This is the place that I can call home.
Oh, thank you, Roger. We just love that. And I agree. Ever since I've come, I have felt like this is home and definitely a safe space. And that's what we always try to do here at PFCC Partners and with the PFA network is to make it feel like a safe space and home and comfortable for people to be able to come and connect and share. And we do our best, we will hit hiccups as we all do, because that is life. But what we also try to do is just to make sure that everybody is feeling welcome and at home, as you said, Roger. So thank you for introducing yourselves. And I know that I hope Laura's son is okay. So I am gonna take the slides down because I want us to be able to talk as we get ready to dive into the panel questions. But Rosie, I see your hand up. Did you want to say something
Well,
before?
I just want to say something to Roger, because I remember him the first time in DC with David, and we immediately became friends.
Yeah.
We shared breakfast together and lunch together, and it was we were meeting at the NQF for PFA Partners
Yep.
network, and it was like a immediate friendship. And I was just thinking about this yesterday. I've had some experiences in the last couple of weeks where some PFAs have not always been kind to each other, and they've said some things to each other that aren't kind. And I keep thinking, and I feel like this is a safe place to say this, because those lack of kindness really hurt each other and hurt ourselves. Because if we aren't kind to each other, and we aren't kind to to other PFAs, then how do we expect that healthcare is going to be kind to us? And we have to lead by example. And I remember the first meeting I was on. It was a virtual meeting with you, Emily, too, and immediately I'm like, here's a woman that I could relate to. And Emily, I'm 70. I'm going to be 76 in a month. So I'm with you, and most people don't think that we're that old, but and we're pretty powerful yet, and we make a difference, and those kind of we're not looking for sympathy, but we definitely are looking for empathy and understanding and kindness. And if we're not leading with kindness towards each other, then we're missing the boat. And when we lash out at each other with lack of kindness, that doesn't mean we all have to agree with each other but we have to do it with kindness. Because if we aren't doing that for each other, then we definitely aren't leading by example. And how do we expect healthcare then to treat us with kindness and empathy?
Yeah, thank you, Ruthie. And talk about a powerful voice, my dear.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
have one of the most powerful ones that I've heard. So thank you.
Well, and I just remember, meeting both of you and wanting to be your friends. It had nothing to do with, and I have to tell you, I worked for the Catholic Church for years and years and years. That's my background. I thought that's where I come from. And yet, probably if you really understand the Catholic faith, it is the most accepting faith of others. It's not putting people down, and it's not saying you're different and we can't associate with you. But because that's not how Christ lived, and that's not how we should live. And so I don't get on that soapbox too often anymore. But once in a while, we have to live as Christ lived, and Christ accepted everyone in his life, no matter what their how they lived or what their background was. He accepted everyone, and that's how we need to live.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much for sharing, and you're so right. Kindness and we talked this morning as a team about letting our light shine. One of the Martin Luther King Jr. quotes about darkness cannot drive out darkness, but light needs to do that. And for all of us to be the light and let our light shine. So thank you, Rosie, for sharing. And I know you are light, as we all are. We're in the spaces we go, and we're all trying our best to lift that up. So thank you. So I am going to ask our first question, and I know that again, Laura needed to leave us. So Emily, Roger, I will just start with you actually, Emily, for this first one about inclusion. So can you talk to us a little bit more about what inclusion means for your community, Emily? And then after you, Roger, then it will go right to you next. So Emily, we'll turn it to you.
Oh, as you heard from my own personal story, transgender people are so much more than gender identity. Everybody is. Everybody has a gender identity. Most people's align with their sex at birth, but transgender people, it just doesn't happen to. But we are so much more than that. We could be doctors or ditch diggers, teachers and parents or whatever. And to just look at us from that point of view and treat us like you're just another amazing human being who happens to be different in a way that maybe I don't understand. But hey, let's sit down, have a cup of tea or coffee and get to know each other. And that, to me, that's the most important thing. If you have the opportunity to get to know some transgender people in person, great, do so, or read different biographies. My own Turning Inside Out is available. You can go on Amazon and easily find numbers of them. They give you different, and if you read several of them, you realize, gosh, these people are really different from each other. And they vary as much as any other part of the population. So from my perspective, that's the most important thing you can do, is just see us as the full-throated, amazing human beings that we are.
Thank you. And Roger, sorry, mute.
I hate
Keeping
that
us on
button.
our toes. There we go.
It's like, oh, where'd it go? They moved it on me. That was well said. I mean, 100% agree. Inclusion to me means acceptance. You know, it's you go somewhere, you meet somebody, they meet you for the first time as the person you are. And that's when they're going to make that decision, whether or not they want to be your friend or not. So inclusion to me is also being the one to make that first step, to take that first step and say, hey, hi, I'm Roger, nice to meet you. This is me. Granted, if I'm at a bar or if I'm out with somebody, this is me, and let's talk, let's be friends. And it's worked pretty good. That whole thing down in Florida, they wanted me to be president for life down there. It's like, no, I need to leave. I need to leave. Florida's kill me. Florida's going to kill me. So inclusion means to me that being open, being available, being accepted. I could go on for hours on inclusion, but that's what it means to me. And I think I'll go to you.
Thank you, Roger. And we'll actually stick with you. So for our next question, so what are some of the unique challenges that LGBTQ plus patients and their families face in the healthcare system?
I think that the first and foremost is, when it comes to being LGBT, me being a gay man, it's who they accept as my partner, who they accept as the person responsible for me. This whole family, family first, it doesn't work for me. So I think one of the things, one of the most important things is being accepted as a partner that has the responsibility to make the decisions for my loved one, for my husband, and having my husband being able to do that for me. And that then, I had some friends that we lived with in Florida. One of them got sick, really sick, and they kind of prevented his partner from seeing him, and they kind of put it under the COVID they put it under the COVID restrictions. Now his partner had a massive heart attack on the table, and they tried for 10 days to keep him alive, but they wouldn't allow him in. They only allowed him in to give his husband a kiss goodbye before they pulled the plug on him. That's what we
Devastating.
face in healthcare. That's some of the things that I face being a gay man and having HIV is, and then, nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to. And it's funny because I found out in Massachusetts that I was HIV, and it was just like having, saying I had cancer or something. People there, they were helping. They didn't judge me. As soon as I moved to Florida, it all went to shit, to be honest with you. There is no such thing as compassion down there when it came to HIV people. For me personally, that was my personal experience. And I think people can be really mean, but you have to have a thick skin. And I'm not one for, confrontations. But if you come at me with something like that and just, it was just, I had some bad experiences in Florida. Doctors that didn't want to see me, doctors that didn't want to touch me. I moved up here to Iowa, and I got into a good physician, community health center here, where they were all inclusive. They were all open. They already had their PFAT going and everything when I moved up here. So places, times, days, I could name a few, but it's stigma, it's ignorance. That's just the bottom line. It's ignorance and not being willing to accept one another for who we are. And times again, I get tougher. So that's why we got to stick together.
Absolutely.
One for all and all for one.
Absolutely, Roger. Yes, thank you. Definitely sticking together, banding together.
Yeah.
Emily, I'm going to go to you. Same question.
Interestingly enough, a book that I read for my upcoming episode of my Butterfly Rose podcast is The Patient Experience by Brian Boyle. He was in a really nasty car accident in just after high school, and he was like on death's bed for a couple of months. And one of the most important things that he emphasized was the connection with his family, and times when the doctors and nurses did and did not listen to his parents, as because they could like sense things about him that you couldn't measure on a monitor. And when they listened to the parents, they were more quickly able to do things that he needed in order to survive. And he did survive. It's a wonderful story if you ever want to look at it. The other thing I would say is that especially for transgender people, there's a lot of misunderstanding about us. A lot of states have actually banned transgender care, mostly for minors, but also for some for adults. And they're using the excuse that there aren't enough high quality long-term studies proving that gender affirming care, is right. And I would say, I don't know how much you know about what it takes to get studies going, but it takes money and human resources. And there are lots of things that it would be lovely to study that there's no money for it. If if a pharmaceutical company has a new drug that they want to sell, they will fund those studies and make sure that they get done, because they have a financial incentive. But where's the financial incentive to study gender affirming care? It's not there, but it's still being used as an excuse to ban it. And so, I mean, if you have any influence anywhere in the world to promote the idea of more studies, I would like to see more of those studies, because that's how we improve care, is to continually see how are people doing when they get a certain, whatever that care is, whether it's for HIV or gender affirming care or cancer or whatever. Where's the money? And the more support people have, the more people see us as real human beings who deserve the same kind of care that everyone else does, the more likely it is that somebody will find the money and the human resources to do those studies. So, I mean, those are a
Mm.
couple of things that come to mind for me.
Speaking of studies,
Mhm.
I was just asked, well, I'm on a study that's checking for people who are over 50 who are HIV positive, and it's a memory gain study. So yeah, it's through the University of California, Riverside. I seen the ad, and I said, I got to do this. You know, being HIV positive for so long, I was back in the day. I kind of put myself out as a guinea pig because they're coming out with the new drugs. First the AZT, and so I was like, I want to do this. I want to see if this works. I want to help, and I did. And AZT, of course, almost killed me, but they were able to find out. They were overdosing people on it, but people learn from these studies, and
Yeah.
you're right. They pick and they choose what studies they want to do, and now with this, the way things are now, it's going to be just so crazy. It's going to be so crazy. You know that. I'm praying. I'm praying for some good people coming out.
Mhm.
This Kennedy is he's a weird one. But anyways, I'm sorry. The
Thank
studies are
you,
definitely
Roger.
good, though.
Yep, and that's what we can keep doing, is doing our best to lift up and raise our voices about the importance of them, and just keep trying our best to shed the light and shine the light on what we need. So thank you both. So our last panel question we have here before we open it up. So what does emotional safe space look like for you? So Emily, let's start with you.
For me, structurally in healthcare, it means being thoughtful. There's a gender pathways clinic at Kaiser Permanente Northwest, and they were very thoughtful about where they put it, so that people in the waiting room for the clinic aren't exposed to just anybody in the world, right? So that they don't have to worry about, oh, who's going to see me here. But more important than that, it's just that the things we've already said here. Just be kind and just treat me like another human being. The doctors and nurses really listening to me, which is what every patient needs. It's just treat us the way everybody wants to be treated. That's what makes it even if you don't understand. Honestly, I don't care what you think, what your theories in your head are about being transgender. This is America. Everybody has a right to their beliefs, but don't use running into me as a reason to just spout your beliefs without getting to know me as a human being. And then maybe we can talk about them. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care what they think, as long as we can be kind to each other. That's my thought.
Yep, Roger, go ahead.
So repeat the question for me, because I went off.
Yeah, no problem. So just what does emotional safe space look like for you? Look or feel like for you, being emotionally safe?
I mean, emotional safe space for me is my home. It's my emotional. My beautiful dog is my emotional. That's all part of my emotional space. People, places, and things are part of my emotional safe space. I tend to stick to, we don't go very much nowadays because of, ever since COVID, we don't need to go back to the bars. We can stay home and have a drink and save a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
In trouble, sometimes. Again, I think fortunately, when I moved here, was very open. There wasn't any strange laws, and of course, they banned transgender care here first thing as soon as they could, a couple of years back. And it's so an emotional safe space for me is being with somebody like you all. This is my emotional safe space right here, talking to you. I can say what I want and know that nobody's going to judge me. Nobody's going to judge me. The worst thing that can happen is we can become friends forever. We're here. Yes, thank you. I love you guys.
Yeah. We love you too. Yes, absolutely, Roger. And Emily, thank you so much. It's just been so wonderful, from the planning meetings to now to be able to come together. I know in our first planning meeting, I was quite emotional. And so I've been able to get through today, being able to facilitate and speak with you all. But please know that my heart is just so full at your just your candidness and authenticity of just sharing. The human experience in itself for all of us is quite a journey and can be quite heavy, no matter who you are and what you're going through. And so it's just so wonderful and beautiful to be able to come together in kindness and in love and have these conversations as a community. So that brings us to our discussion and call to action questions. And so this is for all of us on the call to be thinking about. So again, as a PFA network community, what can we do to better encourage inclusivity and support and allyship? And I wanted to, while you're thinking about that, and feel free to think about it, come off mute or put it into chat. Emily, I know you had a great thought on allyship when we were talking before, and I wondered if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about what we mean when we are talking about allyship, Emily.
There's a lot of things that people can do. I mean, some people are in a space where they can really affect, laws or policy of some kind. And if you can do that, great. I once wrote an op-ed for the New York Times about it, where the manager of the Yankees who brought what's his name on board, he didn't have to face the racist attacks that the player did, but he stood firm in keeping him as a player. And that's what he could do in that moment. But even if you have absolutely no power, authority, or anything, is just to be that person who treats us with dignity and respect, who tries to just to learn more about transgender people or about gay or lesbian people if you don't know a lot of them personally, either by getting to know people and just sitting and having a cup of tea with them or reading about their experiences. So you educate yourself. It's easy, relatively easy to do. And that also, there's a reciprocal thing, because for us transgender people, I think especially, is to really be lighthearted about it, just to understand that who we are is not known by everybody, and we just have to understand that people are grappling with trying to understand and be kind and gentle. And the truth is that even transgender people themselves, especially when they first come out, we're grappling with what does that really mean for me now that I can finally live as who I am? What clothes do I wear? I mean, it's a little crazy for all of us, and that's all. Let's just be a little crazy together.
Yes, I love that so much, Emily. And you just share that definition of allyship so well, and it just brings it to life and something actionable. Like you said, what can each of us do in our own worlds, in our own life, to be an ally? So thank you. So yes, others feel free to share your thoughts or put in chat what's something that you feel like you could do. Roger, I see you came off mute. Go ahead, and then Rosie.
So me, when I first joined up, and I was like, yep, I'm a gay man, I've got HIV. I think, allyship to me, is being open to work with people who don't actually have my same beliefs, but working with them as the person you are, and having the respect to, respect their beliefs, and as long as they respect my beliefs. But I've not really I haven't had any bad results so far. I'm like, if I'm working with somebody and it comes up in the topic, I won't just, hey, I'm gay, come talk to me. If it comes up in a topic, I would never say no. I would never say no to anybody if they asked me if I was gay. Of course, yes, I'm gay. Of course, I'm gay. And and then, you get to know people again, and allyship. right here on this screen is allyship. That's what that means to me.
Wonderful, Roger. Thank you. Rosie, yep, go
And I
ahead.
guess, Roger, when I met you the first time, you didn't like say, I'm a gay man. We built a friendship. And I don't even think that David died with knowing that you were a gay man, because that never came up in our discussion. It never was part of our friendship. And I wrote an article with a person that's the CEO of a hospital, in a Catholic hospital. He's the first lay person that's the CEO of that Catholic hospital in Chicago. And they went from an F leapfrog rating to an A leapfrog rating. And so that was why I reached out to him, because it was done through patient safety, and how did that happen, and why did he do it, and it turned out that he was, first of all, he was the administrative assistant to the Cardinal from Chicago before the Cardinal died. And so and then he became the first CEO of this hospital. He followed a nun at this hospital. And eventually it turned out that he is the husband of another friend of mine who I didn't even know was gay. And so it's like, all of a sudden in one day, all of these things came to pass in my life. And I'm like, I'm first of all, this cardinal accepted him as his administrative assistant. These nuns trusted him to run their hospital because he's a good person, because he knows how to run the hospital, and he was doing the right things for the right people on the right day. He was caring about people, and that's what they saw in him, and that's what the cardinal saw in him. Being the fact that he's gay and he's married to a gay attorney in Chicago is not what comes out at first. And I have to tell you, when he told me he was gay, and then he said, I'm married to someone that I'm like, really? And I was like shocked, because that person had never shared with me that he was gay. He and I have done tons of work in patient safety, but we have never talked about, we had not talked about his that he was gay. It never came up. And so why would we talk about it?
Yeah.
And so the allyship doesn't have to be about, your gender or your choice of lifestyles. Allyship is about how and what you want to do in your life and how you present yourself.
That's true.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you for sharing that story and experience, and bringing it to life. So thank you. And as I always say, time flies when you're having fun, and the hour just zoomed past in a blink, it feels like. But this has just been so wonderful. Thank you so much, Emily and Roger, for working with me and being on for this wonderful Building Bridges session, and for everyone for being here and joining with us. It's been just so meaningful. Yeah, Roger, go ahead. Yep.
So let's plan another one, 3 months.
Yes, we will continue to have Building Bridges, and that is actually something I was going to share as well, because we, as I said in the beginning, want these to be a jumping off point, but not the end, not a one conversation and done. And so we will connect and get together on ways that we can keep the conversation going. That doesn't necessarily need to be in a super formal setting like Building Bridges, but just an opportunity to keep coming together and connecting. So I know we're just at time, so I just want to quickly remind about forums, which is another space that we can connect on, and I'll continue to chat things there. We can put the resources that were shared up there as well, so that the community can see these. And then just quick update that we'll continue to share and will start to become more normal for us in 2025 is just our update to the way that we'll have our meetings. So now we'll have a kind of a quarterly cadence. So we'll have building bridges 1 month, then our skills exchange meetings, and then a coffee chat. And we'll just keep that cycle going. So for January, we just have had our building bridges. Next month, we will have our core competencies skills exchange. Those e-blasts are coming out. And then in March, we will have our coffee chat. So we are excited to just continue in this way for 2025 and can't wait to see you all at these different offerings at events so we can keep connecting in different and unique ways. So,
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead,
When you're
Roger.
done. When you're done.
Oh, no, that was it. We have the links and then I can, again, our e-blasts are going out as well. So you'll continue to get these. But next month will be our skills exchange in February, core competencies of effective patient-family partners. So we are excited about that. And as always, continue to talk to people in your communities and networks about the PFA network because we want to continue to bring folks in. So that is it. That's the end of mine. So yep, Roger, go ahead.
So I was just, because it said, how can we at the PFA network? So I think even on our advertisements, could put a small thing that says family friendly,
Yeah.
because then we'll know, us family friendly people will know. And it's just, it's not too obvious, but just let people know this is a safe space for family friendly people.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you for raising that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yep. Thank you.
Mm.
And Michelle, I see that you also had a question.
Yes, it wasn't related to the topic for today.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we are going to go ahead then and wrap up. I can hold for just a moment, Michelle, while you ask your question. But everyone else, thank you all so much for a wonderful Building Bridges session today. Can't wait to continue to connect throughout the year. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Emily.
much,
Rose,
everybody.
love you guys.
Love you
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take
Thanks.
care,
Bye,
everybody.
Thank you
everyone.
both, Emily and Roger.
Hello?
Hi. Oh, wait, just give me just one moment. Let me stop the recording really quickly.
And even Lindsay